Hi, everyone. My topic is on the lack of men in high school choir and why choir is important. I think that we should encourage more men to join choir in high school for a multitude of reasons. Some reasons are for the benefit of the society, and some are for the benefit of the individual. Most research shows that music education has a multitude of positive effects on the brain. It correlates to higher grades, higher IQ, better verbal fluency, and memory skills. And most studies also show that being in choir can be a huge boost in mental health. And through finding a sense of community to feel accomplished after performing correctly, even down to the science of it releasing feel-good chemicals in your brain and reworking nerve structures to act as a mood stabilizer. A lot of this information comes from one of my sources called the association between singing and or playing a musical instrument and cognitive functions in older adults. This is definitely not the only one I used on this specific topic, as there are a lot of other research on things like music therapy, how music specifically affects neurons in the brain, and how it can be used as a mood stabler for those with chronic mental health disorders. In this piece, however, it specifically discussed how music education can boost many aspects of the brain. What it can do is it can facilitate better functions between parts of the brain, because when you sing, you are essentially doing so many things at the same time, such as remembering notes, blending vowel sounds, keeping in rhythm, watching body posture and proper breathing, and it makes singing a very brain-intensive activity. Research has shown that this can also lead to the reduction of cognitive decay as you get older, hence like the main argument of the paper. When using this, I mainly used it combined with the other sources I mentioned above to talk about the overarching benefits that singing has on the brain. And thus, like, singing can ultimately be a large personal benefit to the men that we should be encouraging to join choir. On a societal level, the thing I argued the most is that encouraging men to join choir or music groups may have an impact on the issues of toxic masculinity and misogyny in America. One of the sources I used was on a piece called Confronting Homophobia at School, High School Students and the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. In this source, it first talked about homophobia at school and how much of an issue it is. A lot of schools are a very homophobic environment. Studies show that in schools, anti-gay slurs were often the insult of choice. It talked a lot about the verbal abuse that can come along with being seen as gay and how this can affect their mental attitude and their view of themselves. And these kinds of insults are raising suicide rates among the gay community, and thus even being perceived as gay can seem like a very dangerous thing. So in this piece, the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles, what they were doing is they were doing this choral outreach program in order to spread awareness of these types of issues. When I used this piece, I initially used it as a way to talk about the dangers of being perceived as gay, which is why men tend to stray away from choir in the first place, because it's deemed as a feminine activity. And I discussed a bit why this is problematic. And by stigmatizing things like choir, we are essentially creating a homophobic society that's okay with shaming people for being feminine. And not even to say that being gay is feminine. I made that remark in my paper. I later used some of the reaction quotes of the students involved in this outreach program and how this choir outreach program changed their opinion of gay people. And I think that this is one way we can stop the era of toxic masculinity by showing that it's okay to do things that are seen as feminine, because ultimately it doesn't make you any less of a man, but it instead can open your view of what it means to not be hyper-masculine and misogynistic and those kinds of views. In conclusion, I have learned a lot about the difference between sports culture and performing arts culture and the effects that music can have on my brain and my mental health. I do have a couple concerns regarding my research. Looking back, I feel that there's definitely a lot of counter argument to be made, especially on some of the claims towards music, different music genres and their objectification of women, and the conclusions that I took from that. Other claims I made about sports culture also have counter arguments that I feel that I may have missed in my search for articles that would support my argument, kind of making me disregard anything that wasn't in support of my own argument. Another concern of mine is that one of my sources, the one on Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles, does not directly involve students in choir, which I feel may devalue some of the claims I make with it. Overall, I still feel that it's a great source, just because of what the information that it presents about homophobia in schools and just how choir can change opinions through music. Overall, I feel that my argument is really strong. I have been in many music groups in my life, and the stories of incoming men always seem to be the same through my eyes. They didn't want to do it over and over again, but when they finally did, they would never take it back. Music education has a very positive impact on the lives of people, changing their future for the better. So I say, why not take this opportunity to improve more lives and our society by encouraging more men to join choir? That's all. Thank you.